Okay. Okay, here we are. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the four of us who are here in person and anyone who watches this video afterwards. Or, and also welcome to everyone who receives the vibrational presence of this video. And today is a really special um, program, Discourse, that I have planned for today. And I sent an email out saying that the program was going to be about the Shi and their stone circles. Stone circle mantle is what they call it. However, I've had so much happen just in the last 2 days that has overridden that topic. So, but just to let you know, I will be doing that topic in the future. And I also am going to do topics I'm going to do programs during the week without the group. I'll just do them on my own. And I'm going to place everything I do from now on is going to go on my YouTube channel, which is Blissful Earth. And so anyone who comes onto the recording, that make sure that your video and your audio are off so that nothing will be identified. You won't be identified in any way.
Unless you don't care, right? Or don't want, it's okay.
What'd you say, Leslie?
Well, some people won't, well, it'll be fine.
Yeah,
They'll want to be show as participants.
yeah, yeah. And also, yeah, if you want to come in and be on, I mean, if you come and be on that, you're perfectly welcome to do that. So, so like, so like I said, so much has happened in the last 2 days, and it's really knocked my socks off. What's been happening, and it happens in the most powerful time I have is in the middle of the night. Usually, so I go to bed about 9 o'clock, 9:30, and then I wake up about 2 o'clock, and my Vogel crystals are are activated on their own, and the and when they're activated, they get really sticky. Like just talking about this, they're just a tiny bit sticky when we're talking about it. But I was talking with Leslie before other people came on, and I was telling her some things about the crystals, and they started getting sticky, and now they're doing that again. And the stickiness is the frill energy. It's spelled Phryll. And frill energy is energy is pure creator energy that comes right from the creator, and it comes and our universe is constantly, the frill energy is fills the whole space of the universe. However, and in other places on the earth, like in Venus, they have underground cities because the atmosphere is so toxic. They can't live on the surface. So they have underground dome cities. And I got this from Alina Danan's book, and it's called We Will Never Let You Down. And in there, this man, what's his name? Valthor, he he describes frill energy, and frill energy powers their cities, powers their generates their creates their clean air, creates their sunlight, creates everything. And now, as I'm saying this, my crystals are activating. They're getting really sticky. And then, and when the frill is coming in, I just that's how I just start laughing because it just brings that energy just brings me such joy because it's creator energy coming right into my body, comes into the crystals, and then when I'm holding them, then it comes right into my hands, and especially my left hand, which is our left hands are more receptive. Like this crystal is a lot more sticky than this one. And yet this is the one that generates the frill. But my left hand is more receptive to it. And so I take it in through my left hand. But I take some in through my right hand too, but the left hand is more receptive and experiences it more. Now it's very sticky. So I just need to take a moment to focus on how, because I didn't prepare anything really. I just wanted to come on and just do just play it by ear, just do it spontaneously. Okay, now I know. Okay, so I want to I want to I have a prayer that I state when I want to connect with the stellar realms or cosmic consciousness. And I've had this for years, but now it's becoming so much more powerful for me to do this prayer. And so I wanted to share that with you. And I will record this, or I will put this in the description of the video on the bottom underneath the YouTube video. I'll put this prayer in the description in case you want to use it. And I suggest if you want to use the prayer exactly the way I have it, you're welcome to do that. And it would be better though if you change that to meet own particular um, your own particular process. So here we go. I take substance from the stellar realms, from cosmic forces. I take substance from the stellar realms. And with hospitality and love, I bring those energies, I bring your energies into my being. With hospitality and love, I bring your energies into my being. And I blend your energies with mine in the sanctuary of my being. And my sanctuary is in my 0 point, the 0 point, my singularity point in my body. So I blend your energies into my being. And in an alchemical process, I blend your energies into my being and I pass them onto living, breathing earth and collective humanity. I did this prayer a couple nights ago when I was in my highest vibration, probably at 3 a.m. And when I did that, I set my intention my intention went something like this. My intention is to receive these energies and to create magnificent miracles of abundance. And I send this abundance onto the planetary consciousness. And sending this onto living, breathing earth and to all of humanity. on the planet. And when I did this the other night, I could feel the power. I can feel it now coming up. I can feel the power of the Creator coming into my body, into my consciousness. And I send that out, and I can feel that it is transforming the living, breathing earth, raising its vibration even more, and also helping to stabilize. The earth crust is breaking up. I mean, it is literally breaking up. And I can feel the power of the Creator with me as a sender of its energy. I can feel that energy going out to the earth and helping to stabilize the crust of the earth. It's still going to break up, but it is not going to be catastrophic like it might have been in the past because of myself and other people that are doing just this. And not only does that creator energy go out to the planet and help to stabilize the crust of the earth, the volcanoes, and also the earthquakes. But it also elevates humanity. This energy impacts all of humanity, whether they know it or not, which most people don't know it. But it doesn't change that it impacts them. So I am able to do that because Blue Star consciousness has anointed me as Star Emissary to the new earth. And Blue Star did that. I think it was about 2 years ago. I'm not sure of the time because I lose track, but Blue Star anointed me Star Emissary to the new earth. And when that anointing happened, I did not know what that meant. And I've kind of got a sense of it over the last 2 years since that happened. However, this weekend, when I had that experience that I just described, I really understood on a cellular level what that means to be Star Emissary to the new earth. And the reason why I was chosen was because I am a Lemurian star priest, and I have done this before. And now I'm remembering how to do that. And without the crystals, I would not be able to do this because everything that I've described so far, I absolutely need to be able to be the Star Emissary. I have to be able to feel the power that the Creator is giving me, the power that its influence on my consciousness. And I take that in with incredible hospitality and love and appreciation. And it just touches my heart so much that I would be entrusted with this wisdom and this knowledge, and that I'm remembering how to do this. I'm not just learning now how to do it, I'm remembering. And each time I have these experiences, it's like, oh yeah, I can do this. I know how to do this. And so I just need to take a moment here and just feel that. And if anybody has anything they want to say in response to that, that would be welcomed at this point. Okay, so I'll say a little bit about how Blue Star anointed me. So I was taken into, so my partner, my twin flame, Chesna, who is a Lemurian star priest herself, and is also a she being. And a number of years ago, I guess it was 2 years ago or maybe longer, she would, I didn't know how to go into her realm, her fifth dimensional realm. So she would come and get me. And again, it was in the middle of the night because that's when my vibration is the highest. She would come and get me and activate my heart. And then it would take me about 5 or 10 minutes to adjust to the elevation of my vibration. And then she would take me out into her realm, the she realm, which is, if you've seen the Avatar movie, the first one where Jake is his first night he got stuck out into the world of the I forget what they were called, but the beings, that lived out in the jungle, and everything was shimmering, everything was brilliant, everything was the all the plants were lit up with this amazing colors and movement. And she took me into her realm during the night. And then one night she says to me, "Oh, I have a surprise for you." And I thought, what could be more of a surprise than what you're already showing me? And she says, "It's a fifth dimensional prize." She said, "No, it's more like probably maybe a seventh or eighth dimensional surprise." I said, "Okay." So we're walking along, and then she says, "Look up in the sky." And I look up in the sky, and there's one star, just one, and it's so bright. And the star said, "I want an individual relationship with you." And I said, what does that mean?" And then it just left. And so it wanted me to just sit with that. And I did. I sat with that, for a day or so. And then the next time I came back with Chestnut, the star came back again. And this time it said to me, "I want to take you." No, I asked it. I said, "Well, what does that mean? What does that mean, one individual relationship?" And then it said, "I want you to be Star Emissary to the new Earth. And in order to do that, you have to have an individual relationship with me." And I said, "Well, what's the Star Emissary?" And then it said, "I'm going to take you out into the cosmos." And I was intimidated because I had no idea. I mean, I didn't know if this guy was legitimate or not. You never know. And then I said, "Can Chestnut come with me?" And it said, "No, you have to do this alone. She can't help you." So I said, "Okay, let's go." And then immediately it took me out into the cosmos. I was out in the cosmos with the stars, with all this consciousness, and everything was total love. The stars, there were beings that weren't embodied. There was just energy. And there was all this, and there was the frill energy, the creator energy, which I hadn't experienced before, was um, was filling the cosmos. Every inch of the cosmos was filled, and it was my body, and I was in total joy and bliss for I don't even know how long it was because it was way beyond space and time. And so that was my introduction to experiencing star consciousness, the stellar realms. And when I was out there, the frill energy, everything was love. Everything was total love. Every being, every inch. There was just that's the energy that permeates our the cosmos is love. And so when I came back and it took me a couple of days to recuperate from that, to adjust to that. But I still didn't really know what what being a star emissary was. I knew that I had the ability because of that prayer I said in the beginning about I take substance from the stellar realms and I blend your energies into my being. And in an alchemical process, I pass them on to Earth. And the other night, like I said, I had that experience for the first time in a really powerful way. And that's what being a star emissary is. It's bringing that stellar energy into my consciousness and then passing it on to the earth and to the living, breathing earth, to the living organism of the earth, and all its changes that it's going through right now, tremendously. Like I said, and like everyone knows, like the Pacific Rim is breaking up, and that's what needs to happen. The earth has to go through this process of its crust breaking up, and and yet a lot of people are afraid it's going to be catastrophic, that all kinds of volcanoes are becoming active, and but Blue Star assured me it's not going to be catastrophic. So I wanted to read a little bit from my book about what Blue Star has told me about this. So I put that my book was printed in, I think it was November of last year. So it was about 10 months ago. And so all this came in actually right before I sent it to be printed. And so Blue Star consciousness, there are, let me describe a little bit about, so Blue Star consciousness, the United States has spacecraft and is part of the US Navy secret space program. And it has spacecraft that is far superior to anything that any other galactic species has in our galaxy. And I won't go into the whole story of that, but there are three admirals in the Navy, and they each have their own craft. And they went out into the universe, they went out into the galaxy 30 years ago with the mission to acquire knowledge, wisdom in their own consciousness, but also to receive technology, spacecraft technology from beings around the universe. And this is outside of our galaxy as well. And so I think it was the early 90s they went out. And and they came back about 4 or 5 years ago with this technology. And not only is their spacecraft um, beyond anything else that anyone else has in our galaxy, but the three admirals, the three of them were very evolved beings. And they also acquired this wisdom and knowledge and abilities that are, they call themselves the Jedi Admirals, but they're far superior to the Jedi Knights in Star Wars. They're far superior to those Jedi. And and they bring this their consciousness back to the earth to share. At some point, they'll be sharing that with us. But right now, they're using their spacecraft and they're using their abilities to heal the planet. And and so Blue Star actually comes into play here because Blue Star consciousness is what powers those spacecraft. There's like a small disk in the spacecraft, and it is pure Blue Star energy. And Blue Star consciousness, the Sirian Blue Star, is the closest energy to the creator of any other star or any other being in the cosmos. Blue Star is so evolved. So when I um, when Blue Star came to me when I was writing my book, and it didn't channel my book, but it inspired me and told me what to write. And so when Blue Star came to me about the book, and from a man named George Kavassilis, who had been up on these spacecraft and met and knew and had a relationship with these Jedi admirals. That I heard George talking about it, and that night, Blue Star pulled me up. I went up on one of the spacecraft, and I was on that craft, and there are a number of Navy personnel who are on this spacecraft. And of course, they are extremely evolved as well. And they showed me how they power this craft. Doesn't have like a propulsion system as most spacecraft do. They have some kind of propulsion system, anti-gravity or whatever. But this spacecraft is fueled by these Navy crewmen sending love into the craft. And that's what powers it, is their love. And they showed me how they do this. And they let me do it with them. And they told me that they have the ability to transport themselves anywhere in the universe instantaneously. Anywhere in the universe, they can transport this ship, this craft, into our universe. And it's mostly because Blue Star consciousness is what is the energy of these crafts. It's a live being. This craft is a live being. And that's what 3I Atlas was. 3I Atlas that came in, it was in beginning of November of last year. 3I Atlas came into our solar system. And it came in for two reasons. The first was disclosure. It wanted to reveal to humanity, and it wanted humanity to argue the possibilities of what this spacecraft was. And that's exactly what happened. If you paid attention during that time, there was all these scientists and all these higher dimensional beings, and they were all arguing about what this craft was. Some people said it was an asteroid. Some people said it was a comet. Some people said it was an alien spacecraft. And that's exactly what a few people did get it right. Like I heard a couple people, especially like Barbara Hand Clow. She's a Pleiadian channel. She's been around for many, many, many decades. And she was saying that it was some kind of high vibrational being that was coming into the cosmos. She didn't know it was Blue Star consciousness. but that doesn't matter. She knew that it was something very special. And the second thing, it was the second purpose was to bring this cosmic frill energy into the solar system, the whole solar system. Isn't just the Earth. Its purpose was to evolve the whole. There's lots of beings. There's millions and millions of beings in our solar system. Most of them live underground in domes. And its secondary purpose was to bring creation codes. That's really important. Its purpose was to bring creation codes into the solar system. So what are creation codes? So let me read. This is what I put in my book. Sirian Blue Star consciousness is an aspect of these three living Navy spacecraft. The lead craft is 3I Atlas, where Blue Star holds creation codes, giving it the capability to transform humanity, living Earth, and our entire solar system. This process engages the entire cosmos, with Earth just my heart just overwhelmed, with Earth serving as the center point where the alchemical cosmic transformation originates. This planet is the center point for the whole cosmos. Blue Star consciousness brings these creation codes, our divine connection to oneness, allowing us to be in the flow of the Creator's energy, which is to co-create each moment with the Creator. Blue Star delivers the creation codes extended by the Creator for our cosmic evolution. Ascension's goal is oneness with the Creator, which means we exist eternally in the Creator's flowing energy, accessing all the creative and abilities to be of service. Blue Star is a fractal of Creator intelligence. The intelligent design of its blueprint has specific purposes for all creation. These codes carry an energetic frequency that resonates with each person or with each being's evolutionary path, not just human beings, but each being in the cosmos experiences that energetic frequency. It leads to greater awareness, transformation, and empowerment. Everything is love. Everything is alive. Everything has consciousness and vibrates with love as its design. So all that, what I just read, all that was what, again, it wasn't channeled, but it was giving me this information through my consciousness. And I would just write it. And then after I wrote it, the next day I didn't even remember. I had to go back and read it and to remember what I had said. So there's a process called morphic resonance. And when 3I Atlas entered our solar system, it caused a shift in the morphic resonance of the information consciousness field that encompasses the entire solar system and all its components. So this morphic resonance theory is a concept proposed by English author and biologist Rupert Sheldrake. And he says His theory allows us to envision that the solar system, with the sun directing consciousness, Solana, our sun, or Solaris, our sun, depending on what the Pleiadians call it Solana, it conveys information through fields of memory and electromagnetic patterns. This theory links all components of the solar system, including the planets and their inhabitants, into a fluid evolving network. Morphic fields are said to be non-physical, acting somewhat like blueprints or patterns, designed into the fractals of the cosmos by previous similar systems, allowing information to resonate across time and space. So, just to clarify, so our sun, Solaris, which previously was part of the Pleiadian star system, there were the seven sisters, and then Solaris, I can't remember what its name was. It wasn't Solaris at that time, I don't think. But Solaris was a son. There were seven sisters, seven daughters, and then Solaris was a son, S-O-N, not an S-U-N. So it was an S-O-N, and it didn't fit in there. And maybe Leslie can clarify a little bit later what that is. She probably knows what that is more than I do. But it left the Pleiades, and I think it wandered for a while, and then it ended up in our solar system. So that the sun directs consciousness and directs this morphogenetic field. And I'll get to this in a second. I'm ahead of myself here. So these morphic fields are said to be non-physical. Oh, I already read that part. Hold on. Oh, here we go. So 3I Atlas, inhabited by Blue Star consciousness, played a big role in its ability to affect the sun in this dynamic situation. On October 30th, 2025, 3I Atlas reached perihelion, and that's the point in the sun's orbit, or that's the point in 3I Atlas's orbit where it was closest to the sun and traveling at its maximum speed. And this was like verified. This was measured by cameras and these devices that we have on Earth that can measure energy and determine what are what energies are being released by comets or asteroids. They can say, oh, nickel or whatever it was. So these cameras were able to determine that during perihelion, 3I Atlas at its peak solar influence triggered significant and indeed massive coronal mass ejections, which are CMEs, to be released by the sun. This highlights its capacity to engage with the sun's consciousness and its influence over the planets and their inhabitants. That is really significant. Again, so 3I Atlas was influencing the sun. And when it came back around so that we could see it, it was a different color. It was, I think blue is the color. It was bluer than when it went in. And bluer means that it was hotter. So when it came around, when it came back, 3I Atlas was a totally different color. So this highlights its capacity to engage with the sun's consciousness and influence over the planets. And so that 3I Atlas brought this creation codes and influence our sun and its ability to to transform the consciousness in our solar system. So through the consciousness of Blue Star, 3i Atlas is radiating creation codes as it travels through our solar system, transforming all inhabitants of each planet. This magnificent alchemical process elevates everything, evolving the fundamental blueprint design of all interdimensional beings and energies. And 3i Atlas here on Earth is fulfilling a main purpose by bringing collective humanity into oneness. And so it's so amazing that 3i Atlas is this spacecraft that's owned by the US Navy and has an admiral as its commander. And it's participating in the absolute transformation of not just the Earth, but of the solar system and all of the cosmos. That's how this is so amazing. And then to have, I'm just so blessed, like I have this knowledge, this communication with Blue Star Atlas that it gives me this information and that I can share this with others. So the Earth's iron, actually it's it used to be an iron crystalline core, but it's not anymore. It is a solar crystalline core. Connects us to everything in the universe. Its primary energy is gravity. And the core of the Earth is first dimensional, and then the second layer is the second dimension. And as the Earth spins, this intense gravitational energy rotates out into the cosmos, sending messages to other first dimensional planetary and star crystalline cores. See, that's how stars communicate, and they do it by sending energy from their cores, and it's in the form of gravity. Gravity is so powerful, and that goes out into the universe. So when we get energy from these stellar nations, these stellar beings, that's coming from their core, and it's radiating out into the cosmos, and it is frill energy, creator energy that's coming to us. So I'll take a little stop there. Anybody want to say anything about any of that?
Do you want me to comment on the perspective on the
anything
sun?
that I said, yeah, you could comment on.
Okay. Well, I would comment on the perspective of the sun as a Pleiadian star, from the perspective of the stellar nations cosmology.
Mm-hmm.
And the sun, yes, was the little brother, the eighth star, and eighth star in that system. The seven sisters, but there's also Atlas and Pleione, the parents. It's a beautiful system. It's beautiful. It's well described in Stellar Destinies, as you know, but which is by Bayononico of the Stellar Nations. Just so people are listening to this, this is a background. It's a cosmology out of Hungary, and they're both Lemurian. I mean, they're star consciousness humans, and Bay remembers she was the founder of the Island of the Stars in Lemuria. So that's a whole other study. But Solana, they call it Solana, was, you can think of a stellar world as there's sentient points of consciousness. And so it was at a point of development where that was analogous, say, to an adolescent type of consciousness. And it was an Aquarian age in the cosmos. And this masculine adolescent energy was being trained and groomed for its divine fate, which was very much like its father Atlas, which was to allow create, Atlas is kind of the perception is Atlas holds the world together. And Solana looked at that as, oh my God, that's so boring. I'm going to just stand there. But what the actuality is, it's this framework that allows the flow of creation to come through and just keep expressing. But in his adolescence, he didn't understand that. And in this Aquarian urge and age of sort of a rebellious quality, he kept spinning his field with these great dreams of going off on his own and exploring and using his energy. And he actually spun himself out. He was in a 6-dimensional consciousness orbit. He spun himself out of that. And he was absolutely thrilled at first because this was his heart's desire. And then what happened is when you leave your orbit and your fate, he started to fall in consciousness. And he basically caught himself on the edge of the 4th dimension. And he sort of realized without realizing, what had happened. And he covered himself in a great astral fog and a great deal of shame. And there were whole cycles of going through the photon belt and not that he was involved in. And his Pleiadian family was always calling out to him to try to reach him. And finally, when he came into the light of the photon belt in one of those cycles, he heard his family and he started waking up from this astral fog. And some measure of galactic council, also at the beseeching of his Pleiadian family, felt they wanted to give him mercy to find his way back to his fate, his divine fate, which was to be this, this channel for creation. So that actually, in this cosmology, that is the establishment of the Milky Way galaxy. He was given the ability to set up the Milky Way galaxy to let's say run it, right? Because that's what he was supposed to do, is to have all these forces come through them and harmonize and balance them. So he was actually, the planets are actually like pieces of his own psyche and representations of his different Pleiadian sisters, like Saturn, which is all about holding form and what you have to do in the world. That's actually representative of his father, Atlas. They're all from his perception. But anyway, so the whole idea of the Milky Way galaxy is, and we being in it, is that any of us who are born into it, are in this same kind of pattern of having used our free will to explore and lost the thread of our divine fate, but coming back. And Solana actually made the Earth as the planet of redemption. And on Earth, we are meant to balance and harmonize all the forces. In the cosmology, there's 13 different stellar soul families, which we contain as humans. And we're meant to balance and harmonize those, as well as the masculine and feminine energies. So that's our task. And you're right about, as far as the kernel of each planet or star being, according to the Stellar Nations cosmology, it holds, that's where the divine plan for each of those expressions lives. Yes, and it is, and so like on Earth, the divine plan is, this is the planet of redemption. So every planet and star has a different kind of mission or a piece of what the divine wants to carry out, and they do all communicate. But the stellar worlds themselves, I mean, they're actually like, they're sentient nodal points of consciousness in this larger, like you said, it's interesting, the Frel, this larger quantum field, which in Stellar Nations they would call the Holy Spirit, but it's I forgot my train. Anyway, that's, yeah, just a little bit of Stellar Nations stuff. But it's interesting because everything in the our sun is a very blessed. I mean, all entities are. Oh, I know what I wanted to say. Stars, the stellar worlds are actually like we have parts of our soul living on all these different stellar worlds. Like each stellar world, like you said, is has a certain core that has an idea going that's being expressed. Well, we are literally like living on multiple stellar worlds in different soul aspects, and our soul aspects are so broad, and we're starting to understand that and how multidimensional we are, how multi perceptual we are. Um, but we're actually learning different things on the stellar worlds. And I think, the next phase of evolution is we will be like our son's divine fate was to be that channel. And you're experiencing yourself as kind of that channel of this bigger energy. I think we as humans, as we move into this whatever this evolutionary arc, that is what we will be. We'll be in a more, and that is a much more fifth dimensional consciousness where we don't have the same um, egoic identity really, and we can like let creation come through us. And the like on the third dimension, it's very hard because the laws of polarity are just what they are, equal and opposite, yin yang. Something beautiful and light filled happens, equal and opposite dark. The most we can do by the laws of polarity on the third dimension is lean towards the light. But we're learning to go up through the center of the light and dark, or the yin and yang, and find our the platform which we would call fifth or dimensional consciousness or beyond, which is not polarized the same way. The laws of polarity on those dimensions shift where the increasing light decreases the shadow. So I mean, the shadow is always there as a catalyst. It's not like a bad thing, but it becomes a seed. It becomes and we become I'm going to say neutral in the sense that we don't swing back and forth like we do on the third dimension, and therefore we can start to cultivate ourselves as these channels or holders of Christ consciousness that can take all these heart qualities. We can be accepting, we can be loving, and we're of service. And the whole evolutionary arc and the expression of collective reality changes. So I just think we've been guided all along, honestly. And everything you're saying is just, yeah, like we're really seeing it now, like we're seeing it. So I don't know if I hopefully what I said kind of meshed in with what you're you were saying. I just want it's I think it cooperates.
Yeah, definitely does. Thank you, Leslie. Leslie, could you just say a little bit more about how the um, the sun plays? I know obviously it plays a role in the solar system, but you said it plays a role in the whole galaxy. I had no idea
Well, no,
that.
it's the milk. It's our No, I'm sorry. It's our Milky. I misspoke then. It's our Milky Way. It's the solar system that literally is the project of our sun. It's its way. It was a gift, a grace to our sun to you can find your way back to your fate. Manage these elements in our solar system. So I apologize, but we are coming to a time where all this is something that can open up it is part of the galaxy and will gift the galaxy in a bigger way. We've almost been like a closed system here in a closed experiment, but I think a lot of that's coming, that's opening. And you'd probably know more about that than me, I do, but
And Solana also, like, you hear about these CMEs, coronal mass ejections, and there's like these large explosions on the sun and how they're going to come to the earth and it's going to, cause all kinds of disruptions and earthquakes and stuff. And they're not the sun would not do that. It knows everything it does. All these solar flares are all controlled, are all determined by by the sun's consciousness to elevate the planets conscious, all the planets in the solar system and all the beings in the solar system. It's all the sun determines what we need And it creates those solar flares to help us evolve, not to destroy the planet or to harm us. There's no one's being harmed by these solar flares. You hear,
Yeah.
oh, this
Well,
is going to
maybe
create
some of
people.
our systems are like some of our electronic matrices that are harmful, which maybe would be okay. But right, actually, you bring up the point. Essentially what's happened is the sun has its Pleiadian family. The sun has created a new family in this solar system. The sun, we're timed for a cosmic rearrangement very soon. There's three great cycles coming to an end, and I don't know what it'll exactly look like, but the sun, I mean, there wants to be some kind of reunification with the Pleiades, but we it's not going to leave our family behind per se. I mean, the sun's working very hard. The sun. I mean, the sun. We're reflections of what the sun is. We're all sort of rebellious spirits who are learning, just like the sun has. We're together in this, and the grace that the sun got from the cosmic council is basically extended to us through the sun. We're all born through the sun's gate. Our records are there, all kinds of, records of who we are. We're deeply loved and shepherded by the sun. Um, so yeah, in that sense, what you're saying. Now, I did a series of YouTubes last year. Last year was an interesting year, um, because there was Cazimi after Cazimi. Cazimis are when the sun comes conjunct right directly with a planet. And so the premise of these Cazimi explorations I did with someone on a YouTube was the fact that it was the time it was really the time for our sun was coming into a very full consciousness of its own being and like moving out of. So each time that it kazimied or met with one of those planets, it was meeting like with a piece of its psyche and upgrading it, like getting. It's a lot to explain, but anyway, yes, the main thing is we're in such a beautiful process, and it's so divinely designed, and there's so many beautiful pieces to it, that we could look at specifically, and kind of it's nice too because it fleshes out a story that creates wonder and all that. But in the long run, it's we just need to live it in a certain way, in a certain frequency and vibration.
And to live it as consciously as we possibly can. It's
Yeah,
so it,
yeah,
it's just so amazing the synchronicities that are happening, on so many levels, with the sun and the earth and creator and everything that's happening. And what's happening physically on the planet at this time just fits right along with everything that we just spoke of as far as the physical planet and the people on it evolving. So, Leslie, thank you so much. That was such a great addition. Thank you.
So I have a question. This brings up a lot for me. Um, when Leslie was speaking just now about did you call them Kazimis?
Kazimi, Cazimi. It's an astrological term when it means that the sun and the planet are at the exact same degree and point. And so it's like a burst of energy, and it's an activation.
Yeah.
So given that I was looking at the solar system as, this, well, of course, evolving, but also almost like an evolving psychological model that each piece, um, there was last year, those Kazimis were just an ongoing story about sort of a maturation of our sun's consciousness. Not to say it's not mature at all, but a real ownership of its divine destiny, which is then being prompted onto us because we are the same. We're the children. We're the mirror of it.
Yeah, what it
So
felt like to me was that how I'm built, I've kind of come to the awareness of like how my temple, my body is built or designed. Um, and what that is to lean into the base energetics of the topic. And when you were speaking, what was occurring to me was what I was experiencing was almost like the sun, like the interpretation, the energetic interpretation that I was getting while you were sharing was that the sun was almost doing its own shadow work or its own inner child work, or that it was reconciling and reclaiming. And you were saying it more as like a maturation process, but to me, energetically, that's what it felt like. Like there was
Yeah.
um, a harmonization happening
That's
within.
perfect. It's perfect and it's true. And it is, and that's being reflected in what we're being asked to do,
Exactly.
particularly on Earth now. So I actually like you putting it as the inner child work because it kind of flips it to the other side, but it's the same thing.
Right. Well, that maybe. Well, thank you for that that confirmation. Because I was curious about whether I was sensing it correctly, and because your body of work is vastly different than mine, and so it's nice to understand that from what you were saying. This, like I said, I might be opening up a can of worms here, and maybe it'll be for a different topic or a different day. But what comes up for me when Bliss was sharing what he was sharing, especially about the admirals and the relationship with the level of sophistication and technology that's available, that are being utilized to like be transported anywhere else in the universe and all these types of things. Um, I got to be honest. I have a fundamental struggle with grasping that type of um, like there's a being or beings that are active as representatives or of Earth and or working with our species that have the capacity to do these things, and yet, which means that there is knowledge of different types of resources for like free energy, and that there's these um, capacities that are not being shared with the common people, that would bring our species and catalyze them beyond suffering, right? And catalyze and liberate our species. And this puts me between a rock and a hard place. To how to reconcile that, this, because I understand that there's, and I believe that there's all sorts of this level of technology, and yet if they're advocating for humanity and working for Gaia and for Earth, then why isn't that being distributed in at least a way where we wouldn't be suffering to the degree that we are, and we wouldn't be limited into this like fight or flight survival mode, because I understand that the human temple and our um, DNA has had so much more potential. Our light bodies and all these things, and yeah, it just seems like there's an there's a incongruence here with what's being shared or how it's being utilized, or why wouldn't we be bringing our own species out of a state of oppression, or like where's the focus on the betterment of humanity during the process of this evolutionary state, because once we are out of that paradigm of victimhood and fight or flight, and we're not trying to grasp to just feed ourselves and keep ourselves healthy, then we become into that full expression of our true creator being. Our signature frequencies can be our life force energy can be focused more on what our signature frequencies and our innate gifts and strengths are actually capable of expressing. And yeah, that's where I have a real barrier, or I'm confused about, like why is it utilized the way it is, and why is humanity being almost held back? Because I know there are many that have become big lighthouses and advocates and agents of beauty and a state of flourishing. And why would there still be tolerance tolerance towards allowing, you know, endangered species to be, killed off? And like there's so many things that are happening that in that place of not being able to get beyond our current technological, state of implementation. Yeah. Um, and I also have just to close this in, I also have a understanding and personal experience of like my multi-dimensional state of being. So I don't experience Earth as a third dimensional entity only, right? Like I experience, from one dimensional to seventh dimensional uh, expressions all the time, right? And so for me, that's another part of this. Like they're limiting technology, and we're not really being taught how to express ourselves in these multidimensional ways, and we don't really have the common land, let's say, the landscape between our social structures and our and our communities to really express in certain ways, and and that that is a way or a form of limiting us, right? And what we can produce and experience and cultivate right here and right now. uh, and so yeah, maybe that can be spoke on or spoke to or another time. But there, I don't know if I'm the only one that's seeing the gap, but I just wanted to speak to it.
Yeah, thanks, Carlotta. Beautifully put. Well, I will say a little bit about that, but we'll pick it up again at another time. But I am told that um, 3I Atlas has not left the solar system, and it's not leaving the solar system, and that its whole point of coming into the solar system, like I said, it had two purposes. One was disclosure, to disclose to humanity that there's this consciousness, right, that came into the solar system, and nobody knows for sure. Most people have no idea what it really is, but they're discussing it, right? That was its first purpose. So it's bringing this, and then the other purpose was to raise the vibration, because its whole purpose in coming here is to raise the vibration of the whole solar system, not just the Earth, but the planet Earth, and then also all the beings on the Earth. That's its purpose. And it's coming back to the Earth. And I don't know what it's going to do, but it's coming back in April of next year. It'll be back at Earth. And I don't know if it's going to land, or I don't know what it's going to reveal. I don't know. But its purpose is to change our world into what you're describing, so, that we need this incredible new Earth and new humanity life. We need that. And they're bringing it. They're bringing it. New blue star consciousness, again, is the consciousness in these craft. And blue star consciousness is pure creator light. And it's in these craft, and raising the vibration of the craft and the people. These are live spacecraft. And their whole point of coming back to the Earth is to raise the vibration of humanity, to make the Earth exactly what we all want it to be, what we dreamed it would be. And it will be that. We are creating that. It's impossible for it to stop this creation. It's impossible. No one can stop it. It is going to happen. And Blue Star said to me that by April 2027, no one on the planet will be able to harm another being on the planet by April of next year, is what I was told. I don't know if that will come to pass, but they also said that they're coming back to the Earth and doing something. And I don't know what that is, but I believe that it's going to be something pretty magnificent that's going to knock our socks off. So that's my interpretation of what they said and my response to what you're saying.
But Carlotta, I think your point about inner child work comes in here too, because it's like all about resonance. And if someone can't feel a higher frequency, they can't create that reality or be in that reality. And somehow we're in these development cycles of needing to, move our frequency. And I don't know much of, part of me feels like each individual being has the sovereignty and the responsibility to go at the pace they're going at. And yet we have all this outside stuff. A lot of shocking things are happening that may move people faster. But when it comes to it, it's like, I think we go at the pace we go at. I mean, we're all thrilled. we have all those visions, and I think we're going there because that's what we believe in. We will do it. And I don't know, Bliss, if everybody will do it in the sense that, and maybe they will, but there's still that the gift of learning from your experiencing and developing your consciousness. I mean, that's actually what the sun was showing us. It was at a point in consciousness where it just like had to get out of this. And now it's in the, in its pathway into understanding, oh my God, what was really going on. But we have that by our living and our experiencing. And I don't know, maybe things will get so fast and vibratorily fast that people will go through it, or I don't know, we'll see. But I think that's why I like your inner child, coming up from under like that, because I think it ties it together a little.
Oh, there was one other thing I just thought of, and that is that the reason why these three admirals went out into the solar system was to gain this knowledge. And our government already had tons of technology, like beyond, like, I don't know if you watch Star Trek, but they said, oh, that we want a Star Trek future. Well, we have way beyond the Star Trek future that allowed those craft to go out into the solar system or out into the universe and to acquire this knowledge. And they did that not for money. Everything else, all the other technology, the advanced technology that we have, has been used to um, to um, to make money, to benefit these businesses and these people and to make them rich. That's the way they have used this technology. And these three admirals went out into the universe to gain this knowledge, to advance, to come back, and not to make money from it and not to be famous from it, but to advance humanity, to advance. And then humanity, we're the center point of the whole cosmos. And then as we advance, that radiates out into the cosmos and allows these other species to advance. So that is their stated purpose. That's why they went. And that's their whole intention of coming back here and giving this gift, these gifts that they've discovered, their own consciousness, and then the spacecraft, that these are live spacecraft. And they're powered by Blue Star consciousness. Their intention is to share that with the whole planet, not to keep it for gain power. It's all about love. They know it's all about love. And I experienced that when I was on their craft. There was nothing except love on the spacecraft. Totally. Well, the reason why they're not speaking now, Jennifer, because it's not time yet. If they spoke now, people aren't ready for it yet. Some of us are, but the planet's not ready. The country's not ready for it yet. But they will do it when it's time. That's what they say.
Yeah, maybe I just have an aversion to maybe that's what I'm experiencing. It's my own aversion to mitigating the trust in like government or military establishments, knowing that what's been conjured to this point has been used more against the people than for the people,
Definitely.
especially for, surveillance and tracking and, there would like there is no such thing as privacy anymore, and how we're, how the just all the algorithm, and why and what they're using the algorithms for. It for me, I just have a again a gap between what's being said here and what has been actually being done in the world by said military, right? Especially, the Navy and the Department of Defense and the global leaderships, right? So uh, if these admirals and or others are conspiring to work for us, and they are a part of these said agencies that have obviously done much under the guise of, behind closed doors that aren't for the people. There's a massive uh, crevasse here to cross and to mitigate. And I'm not a fan of conspiracy theory. I'm not a fan of fear mentality. I'm not a fan of all of that. But I watch the world around me, and it's a it's not always straightforward, maybe, but there's it's difficult to hold these in one togetherness, because what I'm seeing happen and what we've seen happen the past 50 years, let alone the past 5 years, which has been just an acceleration of a lot of disinformation, right? Especially through COVID, and a lot of seemingly what is testing the public's capacity for um, very sensitive type of situations to occur. Uh, yeah, I just, I have,
Carlotta, um, can I ask? You're making me think. What if this is this level of stuff? When I talked about third dimensional laws, I'm just talking about laws on different dimensions. I think they all exist, and we experience them all, whether it's conscious or not. But if we look at how dark everything's gotten on the earth, we could say, oh, when we're subject here in this density to the third dimensional law of polarity, we can say there's a commensurate amount of light happening. And we are like at this incredibly polarized place now. So maybe part of what Bliss is talking about is not as known yet, but maybe it's this immense light coming in, and then the equal and opposite force of the dark, which is not for the faint of heart. I mean, it's and there's a lot more to this subject, and there's a lot of things in it. I know what you're saying, but yeah, I mean, I guess on one level, I just wonder. Sometimes I think, well, it's not a good sign that all this dark stuff is happening. But if we do take literally the law of equal and opposite, yin and yang, then there's that much light happening. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. And I think this whole thing is a bigger conversation, because it is a whole subject into itself.
yeah. It would be easier for me if I hadn't experienced multidimensional exchanges and reality as a child up through now. If my experience was only third dimensional, I could rationalize what you're saying. But because that's not my personal experience, it's and and I was kind of uh, groomed to or what others around me, when I would share certain experiences, they would either call it my imagination, or they would they would dumb it down, or they would try to wrap it in their own wrapping, so to speak, or explain it away. If it wasn't for that, I just see a lot of thwarting of what like children experience naturally, and what they
Right.
see naturally, and things like that. So it seems like there is a intentional barrier being created between in the third dimension
There
for
is.
those that
Yeah.
that is, or
There's
that,
a very big evil malevolence.
yeah.
That's the whole other discussion. But then like someone like you having, I would think, coming as a frequency holder from the beginning, you have the sight of the bigger, and you're like planting that. Like it's not always easy because you're not getting met with being seen for what your truth is. And I think it's the broader truth, really.
I see. Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that the balancing, uh the equanimity is revealed at some point in time, and I'm trusting that it is. It just feels like if there are these beings that are advocating for us and that have this type of technology, I just don't understand why it wouldn't be like, when they say it's just, Bliss is saying it's just not time, and the people aren't ready or whatever. I would say quite the contrary, that people are starving for it, like that we want to feel healthy, we want to feel able to relate, and to walk under, peace is what everyone is calling for. Peace is, the common people are calling for. Like there are more people ready, and I don't think any neighboring, like we don't want to be at war, we don't want to be suffering, we don't want to be hungry, we don't want to be ill, we don't, you know what I mean? It's like yeah. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Um, can I just share something that got me through a lot? Um, I am light, glowing light, radiating light, intensified light. Light consumes my, I forgot where I was going. Light consumes my darkness, transmuting it into light. This day, I am a focus of the sun, the central sun, and the great central sun. Flowing through me is a crystal river of light that cannot be qualified by human thought or feeling. I am an outpost of the divine. Such darkness as has used me is swallowed up by the mighty river of light, which I am. I am, I am, I am light. I live, I live, I live in light. I am light's fullest potential. I am light's, sorry, the dog distracted me. I am light's fullest dimension. I am light's purest intention. I am light, 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 flooding the world wherever I move, displaying that this is heaven on earth.
Mm-hmm.
And I messed up. I'm sorry, but I just felt compelled to share it. And I just wanted to go into systems and circuits. And I came across a description of lightning. And it said that lightning is always around. It's electrical, and my science is bad, but it's electricity that's always in flow, and it comes from the plasma of the sun. And when the right conditions are met, with the solar and the earth, we get a lightning. And I just think we as humans are all earth, 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 and Solana, Solana, Solana. But there's a whole galaxy and universe of stars and light and everything. These systems all mirror each other, and the spiral. Like the lightning is like it looks like an artery the way it flashes all the branching out, and I just feel like we're all connected, and just I'm off my track, you guys, but as I always am. I always am, but I feel like there's such a big world and our little cells inside of us. And but I'm with you too, Carlotta, because I have all that going on right now too. But I think if we can just remember even the smallest things, like how our cells are all working together, and like sometimes there's a rogue cell that does things. I don't know. But there's always hope. And I don't know why I shared. Now I'm embarrassed. I'm gonna go.
No, stop.
Oh,
That was
Oh, it's
beautiful.
beautiful, Jennifer.
That was
Hey, Jennifer,
perfect.
was such a great way to close out the talk today.
Yeah.
Discourse. Thank you so much. That was so beautiful.
Mhm.
You were saving it to the end.
You were a burst of light at the end.
Yeah.
Aw.
Oh, and thank you to Carlotta for your sharing, and
Yes.
Leslie. Oh, it was so beautiful. I really enjoyed this discourse. It was really powerful. And so I will, this is going on public YouTube channel. And like I said, I'll be putting others out during the week, and then we'll be back again next Monday as well. But I'll probably be putting another one out, and I'll send emails out telling people about my other videos. So I'm so excited, thrilled. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you. Nice to be
Thanks,
with
Jennifer. Thanks,
us
Leslie.
all. Thank you,
Thank you,
Carlotta.
everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Bliss.
Yes.
Thanks, Leslie. Thanks, Carlotta. Mm.
Yes.